All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a truly mind-bending, surrealist mystery where the boundaries of identity and reality just completely dissolve. We're looking at a fascinating piece of fiction called the Petersburg Sandman. It's the kind of story that takes literally everything you think you know about who you are and where you live and turns it entirely inside out.
Imagine this. It's a Tuesday, though, it feels suspiciously like a Thursday. You're a clerk, living a completely mundane, predictable life, and you get back from your perfectly scheduled lunch to find this message waiting for you. The lease is up. We are opening our eyes. It's written on this heavy, bone-white vellum, and the kicker? It is in your exact own handwriting. It's this tiny, quiet violation of reality that just completely shatters the comfortable machinery of everyday life.
So what do you do? I mean, it's an impossible scenario, right? But it is exactly the inciting incident that forces our protagonist, a man named Elias A, to question the very fabric of his silver, fog-drenched city. Because the letter is postmarked from an address called Ouroboros Prospect 1. And that is a place that appears on absolutely no municipal map of Petersburg.
Chapter 1. The Impossible Letter.
136. Now, why does that number matter? Well, that is the exact number of birch leaves Elias obsessively counted in the interior courtyard right outside his office window. He counted them once, found 134, counted them a week later, found 136, and then decided to literally never count them again. He relies on this kind of extreme, rigid precision to anchor himself to a reality that, as you'll see, is about to become totally unmoored. So, Elias works in room 7B at the highly secretive Bureau of Unclaimed Dreams. His whole job is to sort the city's unconscious residue into distinct categories, things like prophylactic, compensatory, correspondent. But the ones we really need to pay attention to are the recursive category, which are essentially dreams dreaming themselves, and the unclaimed pile, because that unclaimed pile is where the vast majority of the city's psychological detritus actually ends up.
Section 2. Unclaimed Dreams and Glitches.
The rigid bureaucracy Elias relies on starts to break down. Coworkers start vanishing, like this guy Dmitri, who disappears. And suddenly, nobody can even clearly picture him at his desk. But things get incredibly strange when Elias finds a dream file with his own name on it, and it's marked with a recursion depth of 14. This isn't just a random file. It's actually documenting his own existence within the Bureau.
To really grasp the gravity of that, we have to realize that a depth of 14 means he has lived this exact loop 13 times before without ever waking up. Every single time he gets to a certain point of realization, he folds back inward. So that number 14, it's not a measure of time passing, it's a measure of how deeply folded into the dream he truly is. And this time, on the 15th iteration, he's actually reading the letter instead of just filing it away like he usually does.
Chapter 3. The Blindfolded Descent. To find a street that doesn't exist, Elias learns he has to stop relying on his eyes because they're programmed to only see what's expected. Guided by this handless clockmaker, he puts on a black silk blindfold. And this brilliantly illustrates the core philosophy of the story. You know the old folklore, right? The Sandman is a monster that steals kids' eyes. But the Petersburg Sandman takes the habit of seeing. It suspends that automatic labeling your brain does just to keep the world safe and predictable. You have to sacrifice your habitual way of seeing to perceive the actual truth.
Trusting his other senses, Elias descends through 4 distinct atmospheric movements, guided only by the tapping of a cane ahead of him. Without his vision editing the world for him, he can feel the east-to-west grain of the cobblestones under his feet. He hears the collective ticking of every single clock in the city. He smells ozone and old paper. He's moving deeper and deeper into the city's underlying geometry.
And finally, he arrives at the impossible address on the postmark. It's this total paradox in urban planning, a dead letter office operating out of an abandoned theater. He realizes his feet have walked in a perfect circle, and yet the street itself extends as a straight line. This is where the impossible geometry of Ouroboros Prospect reveals itself.
Section 4. The Automaton's Paradox.
Inside this massive dead letter office, the mystery completely shifts gears. Elias is suddenly bombarded by these urgent, all-caps telegrams from a future version of himself, aggressively pushing him to stop acting like a mere character in a story. A woman, who literally has canceled postage stamps for eyes, hands him these messages. They're being sent through the interference of consciousness itself, urging him to push further into the theater than his past 13 iterations ever managed to go.
He looks into a backstage mirror, and he sees his human face oscillating with a porcelain mask.
It proves that both the living man and the mechanism are true at the exact same time. It's a terrifying but honestly kind of enlightening optical illusion. He isn't just an anxious human clerk. He is also the scenery, the mechanism, the automaton dreamed up by the city just to process its own thoughts.
Chapter 5. Waking the Dreamer. Elias steps onto the stage, and he's surrounded by 11 typewriters that are just typing by themselves. They're all hammering out variations of his exact current situation. But then they all stop simultaneously, mid-sentence, waiting for him. The atmospheric pressure in the theater suddenly drops, the visual reflex loosens, and Elias realizes the Sandman has finally arrived to remove the wall between himself and his perception. It's not some monster stepping out of the shadows. It's an immense, heavy, silver pressure. It is the exact moment the illusion of a separated self is finally dropped.
Without his lifelong habit of seeing restricting it, the physical world entirely deconstructs. It's wild. The silver spires of the city just fold up like paper. The canals reverse and flow upward into the sky. Those 136 birch leaves? They dissolve, along with the empty fountain. The bureau itself fades away. Elias isn't being destroyed here. He is literally being returned to the source material. He becomes the process of looking, rather than the thing being looked at. He finds himself sitting at a desk in the void. He takes a pen and consciously writes his city, his routines, and his colleagues back into existence. But now, he's fully aware of his power as both the creator and the creation. He writes that original line, "The lease is up, we are opening our eyes." But this time, it's not a warning, it's an invitation. He rebuilds the world with complete awareness. The loop becomes a choice. Which leaves us with a truly provocative thought. If our reality is just a habit of perception, what incredible worlds could we build if we simply opened our eyes? If we stopped blindly processing the days and realized that we are both the dreamer and the dream, how would tomorrow morning look? Thank you so much for exploring the depths of this mystery with me. Keep questioning the map, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.